This is a success story that I have found on Reddit on Neville Goddard forum, and the title is Success is suddenly flowing in after improving self concept and self love. Hi everyone! As you can see, I started with subliminals for many years and then eventually discovered Neville Goddard a year ago. I had a tremendously bad childhood that resulted in a very poor self concept, which was reflected by everything and everyone around me. I used to think that the universe was punishing me, but now I realize that it all comes down to our inner world. I started believing in the law of assumption when I realized that most of my seemingly impossible desires came into reality at different parts of my life. For example, I manifested moving to my dream state, my mom suddenly not being violent or abusive in one day, my parents moved into a house that I wanted, and I went from being bullied for being ugly to being admired. While I wasn't aware of the law of at the time, I know that I had unconsciously manifested these things. I had also I had also manifested a lot of bad circumstances, fake friends putting me down, partners cheating on me, etc. I realized the law was real because all of my assumptions came to reality in one way or another. The teachings of Neville Goddard were pretty straightforward. Assume you have it. But it was hard for me to solidify my manifestations due to my constant self doubt and self deprecation. My main manifestations and my limiting beliefs, career wise, I wanted to get into a job field that I felt I wasn't capable of. Love. I always believed that everyone cheats and I wasn't going to be chosen. And friends. I felt like a burden to be around. I would affirm to myself that I had these things, and that reader would give me it, but I would then lose it due to some beliefs around these things. Examples. I was able to manifest people who started a great relationship with me for 1 or 2 months, but then they would then drop me due to not being ready for a relationship or having 3P coming in. I still believed in fate at that time, so I let them go. I would get to final job interviews where the interviewers seemed to really like me, but then they would ghost or reject me last minute. In December, I manifested a really fun group of friends and I was super excited to be a part of something, but then the people of that group turned out to be really toxic and cut me out due to reasons out of my control. So, when I was hit with the fourth, I'm not ready for something serious, and got ghosted yet again, I realized that I was doing something wrong. My manifestations eventually came to a standstill. The 3D wasn't giving me any romance, friendships, or job offers, and I felt stuck. I deep dove into techniques, affirmations, etc. Eventually, I found a few manifestation videos on TikTok that really helped break down what self concept is and why it is such a good tool for getting what you want. While yes, I believe that I could have manifested what I wanted if I persisted with affirmations or assumptions, I would constantly be fighting my beliefs of not being worthy enough, and that's actually true. The idea is quite simple. People will reflect to you what you see yourself as, so why not see yourself as the person you wish to be? However, this was a big obstacle for someone who has been told that they are not enough all their life. Living in the end felt so hard because I do not have a lot of experience with commitment, praise, or love throughout my life. Affirmations and scripting could only take me so far because I still didn't believe that I was worthy of those things. Deep down, I still held onto a lot of hatred for myself due to my past. So I decided to try and date myself for 30 days and see how it went. Because the 3D wasn't giving me what I wanted. Please keep in mind that techniques don't manifest but rather your state, but this is what worked for me. I started acting like I was the perfect lover, living in the end of the person I wanted to be, and that I was in a relationship with myself. It sounds weird, I know, but think about it. Sometimes we chase and sacrifice so much for the people we love, but how many times do we do that for ourselves? I satisfied my own love language needs of quality time and words of affirmation by taking myself out on dates and writing myself love letters. When I didn't have the money to go on dates to spoil myself, I would leave in the end by making myself a cup of tea at home and pretend I was at a fancy cafe. I would write from the perspective of someone who was just so enamored with me. When mean thoughts or doubts would pop out, I would think from the perspective of that person and tell myself, why would I think that? That is so mean, and my partner, me, would be so hurt. I would set aside time for date nights and talk to myself, like normal relationships. It was awkward at first. It turns out I didn't know myself as much as I did. But I got to know myself more through this method. I found out what I liked, what I desired, my values, etc. And after 30 days, I truly fell in love with myself. I became unstoppably confident because I know I have serious value. I let go of trying to manifest a special or specific person or love from others because I love myself, and it was seriously the most freeing and fulfilling feeling ever. I let go of the desperation to see results in the 3D. I realized that a part of me thought I was only valuable when I had friends, love, and a job. I prioritized myself, and through that, I stopped believing in the limiting beliefs that I had believed in all of my life. Bad days were okay too, because I knew I was strong enough to get out of it. That is my interpretation of detachment. I was so fulfilled by myself, regardless of the 3D circumstance, that I didn't care anymore. I absolutely infatuated and in love with myself. And that's when the results started pouring in. I do want to preface this and say that my self-love journey has been pretty recent, and I'm still waiting on some things to conform on 3D. The fourth special person came back and calls me every week, and we developed a very deep emotional connection. We aren't in a relationship because after my self-love journey, I realized that I don't want a relationship at the moment. He has a genuine interest in knowing me, and I just assume that he is enamored with me. I mean, why wouldn't he be? I dated myself and had a great experience. Old friends who never gave me the time back in the day came back and asked me how I'm doing all the time. They went from ignoring me to showing me all the love on my posts and messaging me saying that I was the best friend they have ever had and that they miss me. I even had a friend I wasn't close to at all came back and said that. I formed some friendships with people I wasn't close to at all before, and someone even repeated the affirmations I have been saying about myself. They told me they saw me as someone who was beautiful, motivated, kind, driven, and mature, which was 100% what I had been writing in my letters. I also manifested a handful of job offers. They weren't what I was looking for exactly, but this was my first job offer after 8 plus months of rejections. This one's kind of funny. I imagined working as an engineer at a big tech company, and I got an offer for a position that works as an assistant for an engineer at that exact company. I am still working on bigger manifestations like breaking in tech and moving out, but I know these things will come in soon and with ease now. Self love is amazing for bringing in results. I definitely recommend trying it for yourself. And thanks for reading, everyone. This this story is from a username BBYYUNNAH. Okay, it was written 8 months ago, and I can attest that it is really a great example of how these inner states pour out, how we become what we are on the inside. So, according to Neville, the outside is always a reflection of our insides. So that's crucial to remember in your journey when you go after what you want. In this case, it is self-love and everything that you want to realize. And what the author did in this example is great, and it works very well. And then we have some great comments, and we have from V3AR3GODS. What I have realized is lots of people don't really want to work on self-concept, they just want their manifestation. But it is only after they get their manifestation they realize that something is still missing. Self-concept is so important. Let's take an example of planting a tree. You have two types of soil. First, which you have taken proper care by adding manure and keeping it fertile, and second, you just plant a tree in it randomly without taking care of the soil. It is obvious which tree will grow fast and better. Soil is our self-concept. Don't ignore it. A good self-concept can provide a solid base for your manifestations. Then we have Rox the Fox, and she said, I loved reading this because our stories are similar. I feel that on a conscious level my self-concept is great, but I'm still watching my old story repeat. Genuinely wanting to change my self-concept, but struggling to do so still. And the author replied, I totally understand you. I struggled with this for 8 months. Try to dive deeper into your desires and see where they're coming from. From my experience, I was consciously imagining myself with the special person and friends when I had a high-paying job and my own place. I then dug deeper into my desires and realized that I felt like I needed the job and place in order for people to love and appreciate me. I then asked myself, why can't a special person, money, friends want me now? I didn't realize that the specific person or friends should love me for who I am now. Like, I can have nothing at all and they would still see everything in me. I would then write love letters to myself about the qualities and attributes I currently have. I would write it from the perspective of someone who has made the decision to commit to myself no matter what. Identifying that limiting belief within our self-concept can be challenging sometimes, but once you unpack it, everything will change. Remember, consistency is your best friend, so keep going. Whoa, this clicked hardcore with me. I realized the other day I had that exact limiting belief because of a convo with a special person a few weeks ago. Thank you so much for this post. And the author replied, I'm so happy that this helped. I feel like we were definitely trained into believing that our worth comes from materialistic possessions rather than what comes from the inside. But remember that the entire world exists within you, and relationships, jobs, money are only a complement to who you are. You are already whole. Good luck with your special person manifestations. Thank you for sharing your journey, says Muniela. I really enjoyed reading this. I resonated so much with what you have been through. I have neglected my self concept a great deal, and I'm now dealing with the effects of that. Trying not to be hard on myself and just get up again. Your self love journey has inspired me to do the same. I'm going to try my best and start focusing on myself instead of trying to control things outside of me. That's that's one of the best. Actually, that's one of the best thing that we can do in our lives. And me myself have had so much problems with this because I also grew up like that. Always criticized, mostly unfairly, never understood, and it was hard and harsh. And I did a lot of self work, and I made a great progress. But still, I want to move forward. Then, Just the Girl I Am wrote, "This was so rewarding to read, and as an introvert, this is something I can do easily, and I'm so excited to try it out. Thank you so much for posting this. What a beautiful challenge. I love it because as I was reading it, I can't even explain it because I've been pondering endlessly since my breakup how to do it, but I think this has been the most helpful post around it. I finally started to see how I could take my ex off the pedestal and put myself there instead, effortlessly and naturally. This is amazing. I have been on this and many Loa subs since my breakup 2 weeks ago, and I found gems upon gems, but this is the one. This makes my search all worth it. Thank you so much for sharing your experience." Then we have an answer from Loose Habit. Don't think self love manifests. That's not it. You can love yourself and still have super shitty beliefs about not being chosen or being betrayed or people mistreating you, and that will keep happening. Yes, that can happen, but you will still have your self love. You can love yourself and still have horrible beliefs about your spouse, and they will keep reflecting those horrible beliefs back your way, even though you're loving yourself all day long. 100 agree that self concept, your ideas of self, is all as we are the transmission towers in our realities, and everyone is reflecting us back to ourselves. As you said, and as Neville said. But it's not love of self that manifests, it's your holistic belief system via your awareness consciousness. It's not enough to date yourself or say you love yourself now. Who are you aware or conscious of being? Who are you aware conscious of your spouse being? It's a lot deeper than self love. It's your whole belief system about you, about others, about the world. And that's actually true. That is a very great answer. Maybe self love is the beginning of the journey, but still, if everything is consciousness and we are consciousness and the material world is like a projection of consciousness, then we need to change our entire self-concept. Then we have Escape the Melody 11. I'm working on my self-concept around love and dating myself. Sounds like a fun way to rise it. Great idea and congratulations on your manifestations so far. I'm curious what you talk to yourself about, the usual, how was your day and all that. And then we have the answer from the original poster. Thank you so much. To preface, I started talking to myself because I'm a very talkative person, but I used to have this limiting belief that my energy was too much for a lot of people. I let myself become a safe space with no judgment towards myself or my thoughts. There was a continual conscious effort to change my inner thoughts, so it may be hard at first. I tried my best to catch all the thoughts and feelings that pop up in my head and flip the beliefs around. As a person in general, I'm very supportive and uplifting to people I came across, so I gave myself the same energy. For example, I would cook breakfast and think in my head, wow, you're so amazing for being able to cook delicious food for yourself. Being able to cook is such an attractive skill. When I submitted my job applications, I would sometimes feel nervous, so I would talk to myself about my insecurities, like I would to a friend I trusted, and then I would respond from the other perspective. Nah, girl, you got a whole degree and you're so capable. Coworkers have always loved you. Your resume is so good, etc. I just became my own self hype man towards everything I did, no matter how small. And that's actually some deep example from psychology. It's a great way to do that. That's my opinion. When you said the most haunted, when you said long race ahead, I got myself a coffee first. But honestly, I love your post and I'm so happy for you that you finally discovered how truly lovable you are. And I can confirm that I also had 4 manifestations flowing in directly after a heavy relaxing meditation session. This is so amazing. When you imagine working as an engineer for a certain company, did you repeatedly imagine? I often imagine and fantasized things too, but they never happen. I was in a lack of energy, so I did imagine myself working there, but my limiting beliefs was my imposter syndrome. I was behind in my school, and it just seemed like people were so smart in this topic, and I wasn't smart like them. So instead of manifesting the job in my 3D, I was manifesting people who worked at the job. But what helped was becoming friends with those people and realizing that they were just people like me. I then started flipping the script into thinking the job openings were only looking for an employee like me, and no other applications mattered because I was the perfect fit. I did this through imagining myself living in the end and affirmations. Remember, techniques are only a tool to bring you to the end state of feeling, so there's no right or wrong technique to do it. How did you ignore the 3D while working on your self concept? I find it so hard to think positive thoughts and change the way I view myself when I live in a toxic household. In my opinion, that's actually very hard because I have at the moment the same F situation. And she replied, sorry to hear about the toxic household situation. Sometimes it's hard to be positive when the environment is bad. You shouldn't have to force positive thoughts, in my opinion. The only thing is to ignore it, aka don't react to the 3D in a way where it will pull you back into the cycle of negative thinking. Just know the situation is temporary and assume that you will be out of it in no time. Okay, so we came to the end. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm planning to stick with it. I mean, in my own life, I'm sticking with these teachings, even though it's very hard. After all my life believing in the rational and believing into the logical, etc., I have found myself, even though I was always very open about the 3D, but the 4D, but now I'm starting to understand it on a much deeper level. So I hope that what I share here will be also valuable to yourself, and wish you a great day.